accountable, and he punches down. He puts his name on bold on every building. He does this because he wants you to believe he is strong. He is not. Our president is a coward.
That was our Senator, Kirsten Gillibrand, calling out you-know-who in the White House in front of his own New York real estate during her presidential campaign kickoff last month. And she's here to tell us how she plans to stand out in a very crowded field of Democrats. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
So here's my question. You know, the Mueller report came out. You know, nothing is... seems to get through to people that there might have been some really bad stuff going on. But now you have all these folks. He's been asked to send his people to testify in front of you guys. You sent a subpoena, and he says, I'm not sending my people. How does that work? Because I thought everybody who got a subpoena had to go when they were requested to go there. What are you guys going to do to compel him to follow the letter of the law of the United States? How are you going to make him do that?
Well, first of all, the Mueller report was very damning. And there was significant bases in the report for obstruction of justice. But if you ask me, if President Trump takes on Nancy Pelosi over whether he's going to respond to her subpoenas, I will put my money on Nancy Pelosi every time.
Good.
Not only does he have to respond, it's part of our constitutional democracy. The executive branch is oversight and accountability by the legislative branch. That's how the constitutional democracy is set up. So he must respond to a subpoena. The witnesses from his administration must respond to subpoenas and offer testimony. And if we have to sue the administration and take him to court, we will. But I believe Speaker Pelosi will win.
Okay. So this may just be the beginning of this. All right, so you formally announced your campaign over a month ago. You've won twice in New York with more than 4 million voters. But looking at recent polling, it's been a bit of a struggle just to get the support I think that you're hoping for. In Iowa, you are averaging about 1%. In a Monmouth poll yesterday, you were at less than 1%. People know your name nationally more than, say, Mayor Pete, for example. Why are you struggling to win over people nationally?
Well, you know, my story is a lot different than any other candidate that's running, and I've always been discounted, and I've always been an underdog. In my first House race in upstate New York, I ran and won in a 2-to-1 Republican district. The only person who thought I could win was my mother, and that is not a joke. And so not only did I win that district the first time, but then I ran again 2-to-1 Republican, and won it by 24 points. I have then since brought my state together and have had the highest vote threshold of 72%, higher than any presidential candidate who's run in New York State, higher than any gubernatorial or senatorial candidate. And I also get things done. I bring people together to actually pass legislation. So this is a marathon and not a sprint. I'm not concerned about a poll today. I'm concerned about the voters that I'm talking to every day about the challenges they have. And they need a president. And they need a president who is bold and brave, who will fight for them. We need brave leadership in this country, and I care so deeply about the future of this country that that's why I'm running. And I believe... So
you're not disheartened by
not at all.
Low numbers.
It's the beginning of a very long process, and I've always been discounted.
But you also need money to run.
Correct.
And your campaign has said that your fundraising has suffered. And they think it's a backlash against your decision to lead the call for Al Franken to resign after the allegations of sexual misconduct. It's a personal thing with me because I'm a friend of his and I thought he was a great senator.
Yeah.
And I really miss him now because I think that he had a mouth on him and a brain that you have certainly a brain. And a lot of them have a brain. But this guy had a way of talking that I think he would have challenged Trump and the Republicans in a different way. And I actually miss him, and I'm sorry that he's gone. But do you think that the Democratic voters are going to turn on you for this?
No, I don't. I do think there are a few very influential and powerful Democratic donors and elites who are angry about it. But if they're going to be angry about me standing up for women, who were groped, that's on them. And if you believe that standing up for women is important in this country, go to KirstenGillibrand.com and support this campaign.
Okay. All right. All right. Listen, I understand where you're coming from. I just feel like you're playing in an uneven field with the Republicans because they will play dirty and we will not on the Democratic side, and that could kill us. Let's talk about Joe Biden, who's probably going to announce tomorrow.
Yeah.
He has allegations against him. Not necessarily sexually involved, but, you know, he's a little touchy, he's a little handsy, he hugs people, he kisses women, he talks up close. Nobody seems to care about that. Do you?
I think it's an issue he is going to have to directly answer to voters.
Hasn't he already done that?
Well, so far, he's leading the pack. And
He's not even announced as president.
But he apologized for it, no?
Once he announces, I'm sure it's a question that voters will want to talk to him about, and that's his job. But I'm running for president, Joy.
Yes, I know.
Because I really want to fight for the future of this country. And we need a president who is brave enough to stand up to do what's right. I have gone through fire to do what's right, including standing up for women.
Yes.
When we have someone in our own party with 8 allegations. I've stood up to the Pentagon. I've stood up to the Pentagon to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, one of the most corrosive policies in America that told men and women that they could not serve based on who they love. I've stood up to the Pentagon trying to end sexual assault in the military. I've stood up to Congress and demanded transparency by making insider trading illegal, by posting my earmarks and schedules online so people can see. And I have stood up to do what's right when it's hard. We need a president and the American people to deserve a president who is brave, who will do what's right even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
You're brave.
Son.
We agree.
Well, let me ask you this, because you also need the African-American vote, especially women, because we elect presidents.
Yeah.
And on the campaign trail...
We didn't do this last one, though.
We didn't do that one.
No.
That last one, that one, no.
That's not on you.
Yeah, that's not on
No.
us. I'm just
We
saying-
didn't-
just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah,
for
we
a
didn't
second.
vote for him. But on the campaign trail, you've spoken out about closing the racial wealth gap. And you've endorsed a number of policies that would work towards that: a federal jobs guarantee, postal banking, baby bonds. Where do you stand on the issue of monetary reparations?
I support Congresswoman Jackson Lee's bill to do a commission to study reparations. And when I'm president, I will sign that commission into law and get it started. But in the meanwhile, I think we need to deal with the deep and persistent income inequality and institutional racism and systemic racism that has held Black Americans back for generations. You will see systemic racism in healthcare, in education, in the economy, jobs, and in criminal justice. Housing. You've seen it historically, starting with slavery, starting with Jim Crow, starting with redlining, starting with mass incarceration over decades. And so you're going to need bold and systemic reform that can tackle all of these issues across the board. And we should be working legislatively now to do exactly that.
And the commission is going to look at monetary reparations.
Correct. And, you know, in the meanwhile, you could pass something as simple as postal banking, making sure that people who don't have access to a checking account, a savings account, can get that through their local post office, allowing families to begin to accrue wealth and not be taken advantage of by the predatory lending in this country.
Okay. Cool. We'll be back with Senator Gillibrand. Hey, we are back with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. So, what I haven't heard from anybody that's running, I said this to everybody yesterday, is I want you, if you can, in a quick way, explain to me how you're going to bring me back to a balance where I'm not working to pay taxes. Because I feel 98% of the population in this country works to pay taxes. We are taxed every which way. And now you can't even write anything off. I want to know, how are you going to help me? How are you going to help me? How are you going to help me keep some money so that my family, I'm not asking to keep a lot of money. I just want to keep some of my money so I can take care of take my family to the movies or take them out, or my God, even go on vacation. I know that's a lot. But
Yes.
how are you going to bring us back to that?
Okay. I think we need to start rewarding work again in this country. We haven't done that in a long time. Not only do we not have a living wage where people can earn enough to begin to earn their way into the middle class and pay for things.
Is there a middle class?
It's shrinking. And part of the problem is people are deeply underemployed across the country. A lot of the disillusionment and anxiety that voters felt in the last election haven't been directly addressed. And so one of my goals is to deal with unemployment and underemployment by doing job training, by actually teaching people who are underemployed more skills to get a job in their community by their local employers. You can pay for that training through community colleges, state schools, city colleges, apprenticeship programs, and not-for-profits. We do it in New York well. I'll give you one example, and this is not you, and I'll talk about you in a second. But in the Bronx, when they recognized that lots of young adults did not have access to STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, they went to every tech company in New York and said, what are your open jobs? And what are the skills that are needed? They then provided that coursework for free. They've already placed 800 young people in computer engineering, building and fixing computers, cybersecurity, and coding. It works. So if you fund that, you create opportunity. I would also make sure we allow people to organize, to actually have unions again, and to have collective bargaining. So those are just two ideas. But to you specifically in taxes, I would unwind these tax cuts by President Trump because they disproportionately went to the ultra wealthy. It went to the highest wage earners in America, and it went to the most successful companies. So keep in place the middle class tax cuts. State and local deductions, we need to get that back. Especially in a state like New York, because it's not fair. It really hurt middle class families. And then I would make sure that we tax wealth the same way we tax work. When you have enormous wealth because you have lots of stocks and bonds, you don't pay the same tax rate as someone actually working. So have some harmony between whether you're an owner or a worker, and that will help fix the tax problems.
You know how a Democrat wins? I spent a lot of time in Scranton, Pennsylvania in the 2016 election. I talked to more Democrats there who voted for Obama, and then they voted for Trump this time. If you can win those voters over, I think you can be successful in general. And they told me time and time again, I heard, we'd been promised so many things by the Democrats, and it hadn't been delivered. Remember, Scranton, PA used to be like the heart of this country. And no longer.
You mean where all the steel was? And all when all the steel was sent to China?
It was a different time.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
So let's just talk about Trump. Trump promised no bad trade deals. Well, what he's done is he started a trade war with China. That is hurting our farmers, and it's hurting our manufacturers. And let me give you two examples. Farmers, when I'm in Iowa, they have 4 exports that are their biggest: ethanol, corn, soy, and pork. The #1 purchaser is China. So when you have a trade war with China, there's no one buying your products that you need to export. Same with steel. Because of the trade war with China, the price of steel is rocketed up. And so if you're John Deere manufacturing, your input cost is too expensive.
So most people are getting screwed with taxes.
No bad trade deals.
Some other people are getting screwed with trade deal. Why do they keep voting for him? 80-some% of Republicans are Trump people. Why?
Well, I think you need to take these issues directly to the American people. The reason why I think I'm the strongest candidate to defeat Trump is because I win the red and purple areas in New York State. Upstate New York, which is ag and manufacturing, Long Island, I win it, and I win it more than other Democrats, so I believe I can win Pennsylvania.
So you know what you got to do now. You want to win folks over, you got to talk to them about how you're going to repair what they've lost. Thanks to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. We'll be right back. Yes, we will.